Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on May 9th, 2017. Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of Aura News, where we bring you today's top stories, translated into English every weeknight. The OSCE ODIHR will engage a mission to monitor June 18th electoral process. The OSCE will bring a core team of 13 experts based in Tirana and 26 long-term observers to be deployed in teams of 2 across the country. In addition, ODIHR will request 300 short-term observers to monitor the proceedings on Election Day. Being aware of the political situation in Albania and the difficulty of observing elections under these conditions, the head of the mission, Ambassador Peter Taylor, said that the mission is not interested in the election result, but instead on carrying on its duty strictly. Ambassador Taylor did not comment on the opposition's boycott and gave assurances that the mission will be impartial and independent, stating, "Please, keep in mind that the impartiality and independence are fundamental values to us. I want to emphasize that it is important to be understood that our role is to monitor the electoral process and report, not to intervene. We will observe the elections and we will not compare them with the previous elections here or in any other country. We are not politicians, but professionals. It may seem strange, but we are not interested in the election results. We are not here to comment on the political situation. The mission will observe the elections for the compliance with OSCE commitments, other international obligations, and standards for democratic elections and with national legislation. Observers will closely monitor the candidate and voter registration campaign activities, the work of the election administration and relevant governmental bodies, election-related legislation and implementation, the media environment, and the resolution of election-related disputes. As part of the observation, the mission will also monitor the media coverage of the campaign. A statement of preliminary findings and conclusions will be issued on the day after the elections. A final report on the observation will be published approximately 2 months after the completion of the electoral process, declared Ambassador Taylor. Reporter for Albania and European Parliament, Fleckenstein, has once again expressed his concern over the political situation in Albania. The German member of European Parliament, who was also a negotiator for the solution of the crisis in Albania, together with David McAllister, has publicized a photo with the U.S. Senator John McCain. In a tweet on his Twitter account, Mr. Fleckenstein writes, "Good conversation with Senator John McCain in D.C. Clear and common view on situation in Albania. We ask DP to participate in upcoming elections." Meanwhile, the Deputy Assistant Secretary for European and Eurasian Affairs, responsible for U.S. relations with the countries of Central Europe and South Central Europe, Hoyt Brian Yee, will visit Tirana on May 15th. Aura News has learned that Mr. Yee will be in Tirana to solve the crisis. Today, the Socialist Party held its electoral congress, where its electoral program was presented. Prime Minister and Chairman of the Socialist Party, Rama, made a summary of the government's work in 4 years, highlighting the judicial reform. During his speech, Minister Rama admitted the promises he did not keep, but for this he blamed the debts the previous government left, stating, "I have done what I could, but still a lot needs to be done. We could not keep our promise because we found many debts when we came into power." The Prime Minister continued, accusing the Democratic Party of protecting the corrupt judges and prosecutors. The Prime Minister vowed that June 18th will be the day when the vetting of politicians will be made, declaring, "The Democratic Party has gone in an unknown direction. The DP has decided not to enter the elections because it is guided by the fear of justice. The DP does not want elections because it does not want vetting. The Democratic Party does not want the judicial reform. The DP thought the judicial reform would not be implemented. We cannot ask for Albanians' votes without approving vetting. June 18th will be the day when people make the vetting of politicians. Vetting will be voted on immediately after the establishment of the new government." To the critics who say that the new parliament will not be long-living without the opposition, the Prime Minister had this to say, "The longevity of the parliament depends on us. This will be the first parliament without Sali Berisha, but not without opposition. Whomever thinks that Parliament's longevity will be short because the Democratic Party is outside is wrong, because the freedom of election will produce the new Parliament opposition." Prime Minister also commented on the opposition's boycott, declaring that he did not want this to happen and that he did everything to stop the boycott, stating, "They refused everything because they are not concerned about drugs, crime, or election. They are concerned about their impossible divorce with the corrupt judges. We gave them the opportunity to monitor the government, together with our international friends. They refused everything. They decided to commit suicide." Prime Minister Rama added that the election papers are being printed and that elections will be held on June 18th. The Prime Minister did not mention his government allies during his speech who were running separately in the elections. The Democratic Party chairman, Lulzim Basha, spoke from the protesters' tent while the Prime Minister was speaking at the Socialist Party's electoral congress. The DP chairman commented on the SP's progress, declaring that the Prime Minister distributed Oscar awards to his corrupt ministers. On Europe Day, the DP chairman declared that the Prime Minister came into power with the promise to integrate Albania into the European Union, but instead he is leaving as an alliance against people. On the 81st day of the opposition's protest, the DP chairman declared that the Prime Minister is afraid of people's judgment, and for this reason he tries to steal the elections. The DP chairman invited the citizens to join the opposition's protest on May 13th in order to end what he called a theater of puppets and the economical complot that is being made to the citizens. In his speech, the DP chairman declared, "The popular union culminates on May 13th. The victory of free and fair elections is not merely a giant step for Albanians' freedom, but it is also the opening of the new republic's door. The door of the old republic of injustice, arrogance, crime, and drugs will be closed. Let us end the economic and political complot against the Albanians. Let us all open the door of the new history of European Albania on May 13th. During his long speech before the Democratic Party supporters, the DP chairman spoke of the Democratic Party's program, promising economic increase, support to agriculture, transformation of education and health systems, and increase of employment. On the occasion of Europe Day, the Assembly Speaker, Ilir Meta, has invited the youth to be more participative, as according to him, the youth have vision and clear ideas. Referring to the political situation, Mr. Meta emphasized that Albania needs less arrogance and more dialogue to solve the impasse. Today, for Europe Day, Parliament was open for all those interested to visit it. In a statement, Mr. Meta declared, "Our country needs more responsibility and not egoism, more dialogue and less arrogance, more tranquility, stability, investments, and of course, equal employment opportunities and social equality. The country's interests in the European future should be the priority of the political agendas. It is never too late to find a responsible solution. I will never stop my efforts for dialogue and compromise." Mr. Meta also added his hope that more young people will be part of the future legislature, saying, "The future belongs to the new generation. Their hopes and dreams for the future should motivate and increase our political and citizen responsibility. The Parliament should become an example for the new generation, turning it into the house of real democracy, of political dialogue, of tolerance, understanding, and of high responsibility." Meanwhile, the Minister of Integration said that Europe Day is a day that brings us closer to the European Union. Parliament will be open for the entire day in framework for Europe Day. Invited on our program tonight with Ivetaria, the chairman of the Red and Black Alliance, Kreshnik Spahiu, declared that he will propose the DP chairman to block the entrance of the Prime Minister's office on May 13th protest in order to stop him from entering his office. Mr. Spahiu said that the way the protest will be held up is up to the DP chairman, but he said there will be surprises, stating, "I have asked the DP chairman that the protesters surround the minister's office and Eddie Rama not to be allowed to enter his office until compromise is reached. People should not allow him to enter his office and should tell him to dialogue. The Prime Minister should have the courage to resign, to enter the election, and we will shake his hand if he wins the elections. We will see if the Democratic Party will choose a peaceful protest or not. It is a surprise. But Saturday's protest will not be like other protests. Just like the February 18th protest set up the tent, the May 13th protest will produce a surprise that will make Eddie Rama find dialogue's path and establish a provisional government." The Democratic Party has been protesting for 3 months in a tent that is set up outside the Prime Minister's office. The The Democratic Party has announced a large protest on May 13th after the big protest on February 18th. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Cosmo, and on behalf of Aura News, thank you and good night.